time that I was like, oh, it's been ages and ages since I've streamed. So thank you so much for coming. I'm really, really glad to have folks here. So yay. How are y'all doing? I see a Jagpag. I see a Cecil. How is everybody? I figured this was gonna probably be like a fairly short and pretty like low key. Natambalaya, how are you? Yeah, I've been having a bit of a time. So I think I've shared with some of the folks here anyway that my PhD schedule has recently become like way more condensed than I had previously intended. And this has led to quite a bit of like crunching to try to get it all situated as quickly as possible. So yeah, I haven't had a ton of time for streaming, but in the next little while here, I might be doing a bit more of it just because I have a lot of games that I need to play for various arguments that I'm making and stuff. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. So probably a lot of just sort of random streams, probably not on a schedule, just kind of opportunistically as I can do them. And yeah, we'll sort of see how that goes. Yeah, Jagpack, happy it's Friday. No joke. I'm also happy it's Friday, but these days, like, all of my days are kind of the same. So I am gonna have a glass of wine since it's Friday. So cheers to everybody. And I encourage anyone else to grab a beverage of their choice, alcoholic or otherwise. But yeah, cheers, everyone. I hear that's how it gets in the PhD life. Yes, that is. Yeah, so this wine actually is a awesome fruit wine from friend of the stream, Kineticorn. You should definitely go check him out. His stream is fantastic. And for anybody in chat that is not following him already, you totally should. He's on a little bit of a hiatus right now because he's traveling, but he theoretically will be getting back to streaming soon. But he makes his own fruit wine out of like a bunch of random stuff, and he streams the whole process, and it's really fun. And there have been really cool guest stars on from time to time to try out the wines. So this is actually like a sparkling strawberry wine, and it gets scare quotes on the sparkling because it's like very, very lightly sparkling, just like enough to give it like a little bit of mouthfeel, but not like enough to actually make it bubbly. But it's really good. It's kind of on the sweeter side, and just a lot of fun. So definitely go follow Kineticorn, and he actually sends out wine to supporters of his channel. So awesome. Thank you, Jackpack. Yeah, so for today, I also, in addition to PhD things, I do an interactive fiction game jam that we run it kind of on a 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off cycle. And one of the folks in the jam thought it would be really fun to start up like a reading club for the jam. And so it's called Fortnightly Fiction Jam. We are currently in the middle of one of our writing sprints right now. I think we're 4 or 5 days in at this point. But they're very chill, a lot of beginners, sort of like experimentation is like highly encouraged, lots of folks learning new tools. It's really chill and a lot of fun. And so yeah, as I was saying, one of the folks thought it would be really cool to start up like a reading club within the jam for various interactive fiction that is like cool or interesting or inspires, you know, different folks. And so yeah, I thought that would be really fun to, as I'm playing that game for the reading club, to also be streaming it, and we can be talking about it a little bit. So awesome. Thank you so much for the links. Yeah, so that's a link to our Discord. We're super chill. There's some really awesome people in there, and yeah, it's the kind of thing where like if you've been wanting to break into interactive fiction or learn a new tool or anything like that, it's a really good community for it. So today we're gonna play a really awesome piece by Porpentine. So it's a fun piece called oh gosh, have lost it. There's actually a couple of pieces that I want to play if we have time, but I don't want to commit to the second one in case I don't. With Those We Love Alive is what we're playing today. So, oh, awesome, Tambalai. It'll be great to have you. Yeah, it'll be like I said, it's super chill. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I don't know. Like I said, I've kind of had the PhD crunch times going. The couple of times that I have been able to participate, I've really, really enjoyed it. But these days, probably realistically, I'm not going to be able to write any fiction until the dissertation is done. So it's probably going to be another couple of jams before I can actually write something. But we do have an awesome community for, folks giving like technical advice and technical help and, writing feedback and all of that stuff. So it's a lot of fun. I don't know. I'm biased, of course, but I really like it. But yeah, Tambalaya, Cecil, like, how are you guys doing? Before we dive in, I kind of wanted to just like sit and chat for a moment. Like, it's been so long since I've streamed that I have like a bit of jitters. And so there's kind of a part of me that also just wanted to maybe like, before I just dive right into like, now let's analyze this game. I wanted to, I don't know, just kind of be on camera a little bit, chat with you guys, reconnect with people. Like, at this point I'm fully vaccinated, but I'm still feeling like the COVID social weirdness for sure. So, yeah, how are you? How are your lives? Cecil says, I'm great. Got to New Mexico this week for a summer job. I didn't even know you were going to New Mexico. That's exciting. Yeah, tell me more about that. Are you teaching over the summer? Yeah, Tammy says, I'm doing all right. I've got finals next week, but keeping it chill. Yeah, finals week is always such a thing. So good luck with that. I do not envy you that. I do envy a little bit. For me, I'm in a weird place where like every day is the same. So like it is kind of weird where other folks like in the lab will say things like, oh man, it's week 10 or, whatever. And I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, we are like pretty far into the quarter. I just don't really feel it because every day I do the same thing. It's just write dissertation all day, every day. Tambalaya says, just finished streaming 1,000-Year-Old Vampire on Scholars Play. Oh my gosh, I missed that. Yeah, I was trying really hard to like get this set up quickly so that I could like jump on and say hi. But you know how streaming is, especially when you haven't streamed in a while or there's like any part of your setup is different from last time. It took, way longer to get set up than I was expecting. So that's how it goes. Cecil says, yeah, I forgot to say anything because I was going to take a selfie with a well-known peak, but the trails are closed right now. Oh, that's a bummer. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's so cool. It's a big scout camp, basically backcountry hiking center, and I'm working in the base camp. That is so cool. That sounds like the coolest job ever. You will have to send so many pictures. I'm sure it's going to be absolutely beautiful. Yes, I have entered the dissertation zone. Yeah, it's... having watched a bunch of my friends go through this, I really was hoping to avoid the, like, go into a hole for 3 months and become, like, a disgruntled goblin person, but, yeah, I don't know. So consider this stream my, like, half-hearted attempt to not turn into a goblin person, but I make no promises. We'll see how it goes. Technical difficulties like 90% of streaming, if I remember correctly. It's true. I will say, like, the tools have gotten a lot better since we started Scholars Play, where, like, yeah, the first iteration, or the first few iterations of OBS were, like, really, really janky, and there was never consistent audio sources, and like everything was always a thing. And I will say, with like Streamlabs and stuff, it's definitely a lot easier to just, kind of get things into a little bit of a rhythm. Goblin stream. Guys, you're looking at it. I don't know what to tell you. Like, this is it. I have like completely transformed into a goblin person. Like, just because I put on some makeup today, don't let that fool you. I am like in full COVID forgot how to be a human mode. Like, I'm not a person. So anyway, thank you for being understanding and sympathetic about that. I really appreciate it. Okay, so with all of that, I think I'm gonna go ahead and dive in. My understanding is this game is not actually very long, so depending on how not very long it is, we might play it more than once just to kind of see how things go. Just one, thank you so much for the bits. That's really sweet. Yeah, totally Goblin Party. Um, so yeah, have folks in chat, have you actually played this? I have played a lot of Porpentine stuff, but not actually this one. So I'm pretty jazzed about that. And yeah, let me see here now about switching some sources. Okay, cool. I'm gonna move you over here, chat. The crafting, oh, it is the crafting one. Of course you've played it for crafting stuff. So yeah, and I think there's a musical component too, so I am gonna pause our sweet lo-fi. And yeah, my understanding is the music is kind of just like ambient chill times, but if the audio is actually like important, then let me know and I can adjust it as needed. So I love I love this as like a starting screen. Just like when I booted this up, I was just like, "Oh, that's so cute." So yeah, we'll go ahead and click on our only clickable on the screen here. Before living this life, have a pen or Sharpie nearby, something that can write on skin. Oh, that's fun. Okay. Do I have a pen or Sharpie nearby? Probably. Haven't played it, but seen documentation. Okay. I'm gonna grab a Sharpie. Let's see how this goes. I totally have like a date night later, so my husband's definitely gonna be like, why do you have writing all over your body? But okay, let's do it. 1 second, I'll be right back. The sacrifices we make to be gamers. I know. Yeah. Only familiarity is the chatter. That was in Discord a few months ago. Yeah, gotcha. Okay, we have a red Sharpie, so we'll see how it goes. It should, I mean, my skin is really pale, so it should show up. Okay, purple links change, pink links move forward. Colorblind version is here. I will keep it in its original version. Headphones are recommended. Okay, onward. By documentation, I mean Sharpie to arm selfies. Awesome. Yeah, and that's a really good point. I should probably post an arm selfie later. And actually, I might take off my watch to, I don't know, it just feels like a thing that I might need to write on. That arm is easier to write on, so I'll take that there. Okay. And also, chat, I will have y'all make the choices here. So let's see. Okay, that's a little loud on my side. I hope it's okay for you. Which month were you born in? 1, the broken coffin. 2, the flower eater. 3, the ocean cloud. 4, the fruit heart. 5, the angel's egg. 6, the dire maiden. 7, the orphan. 8, the snake's milk. 9, the locust kill. 10, the moth vendetta. 11, the eye in the ground. Or 12, the salt key. Ooh, that's really evocative. I just realized I had not actually changed our category, so I'm gonna do that. I don't actually expect anybody's gonna be like searching for folks playing with Those We Love Alive, but if it in any way influences like what sorts of things people like at Twitch think the Twitch audience cares about, then that's worth it for me. Okay, so So like straight off the bat, I love that it's going straight for like a self-identity thing and is sort of giving me this very like cool zodiac vibe with like really interesting alternate stuff. My first instinct is to play like, you know, 7, the month I personally was actually born in, but because the choices are so interesting, I'm like, oh no, I've got to choose something else for sure. Plus I don't really want to be the orphan. So chat, tell me what you're leaning toward. I am feeling either the Dire Maiden or the Flower Eater is jumping out to me, or yeah, or the Moth Vendetta. Hey, Duende, great to see you, and thank you so much for identifying yourself, because I probably would not have known that. We just started. This is literally the first screen, so great to have you. Salt Key. Okay, so Moth Vendetta was the first one I saw, so I'm going to go with Moth Vendetta. And I also was kind of leaning toward that one, so it's pretty cool. What is my element? Pedal or yes? Yes is very forward, so so I think I'm gonna lean toward pedal. Oh right, the purple one's changed. These are cycling links. Okay, so we can have pedal, tears, mud, machine. Also, yes was a really great forward link to kind of get me to actually go through these. Okay, so we got pedal, tears, mud, machine, fur, feather. I don't know, which of those do we feel like? I think for some reason I'm drawn to feather. But maybe that's also because I just like, I don't know, I'm feeling very crow vibes right now, which there's a murder of crows that lives in my complex that are very loud. The stream cut out for a moment. Oh no. I hope it was okay. Did it cut out for anybody else? I have a pretty strong connection usually, so. Okay, so I'm gonna lean toward feather, and we'll go with yes. Cool. What color are my eyes? Do we have anything interesting? Gray, blue, black, green, hazel. Yeah, I'm leaning toward, oh, heterochromic. All right. Nothing here describes my eyes. Ooh. Okay. Only got through half of this one. All right. I'm leaning toward violet. I always, you know, as a kid, I always like really wanted violet eyes. I thought that was really cool. My eyes are brown. They're kind of boring, but okay. When you came of age, your parents used this information to give you a name, running their fingers along the indexes of a book as by custom. But in the morning, when they were gone to work, you found the other book, and you held a different name inside. Hayes Melodet, or Meloday. I like Meloday. And 10 years disappeared. The agent of the Skull Empress came to your apartment and spoke to you. The Empress's larval stage is almost complete. We invite you to reside in the palace and share your talents. Ooh. So as with a lot of like Porpentine stuff, I just really love the language and how evocative everything is. It definitely really taps into like this kind of poetic, I want to say epiphania, but that's kind of a slightly different thing. But it taps into like the ambiguity of language, where your brain just wants to fill in additional information. And like the words that she chooses are so interesting and evocative. Growing up is just a way to make years disappear. It's a magic trick, yeah. An artificer, you make things. You were noticed perhaps from your showings and sometimes victories in the festivals, and now you are going somewhere. Dead brown leaves cover inky black lake. Something is rising from the lake. So what's interesting is that even though the last like several passages, or lexia, depending on the term used, have been pretty linear, because it gave us like a huge swath of choices at the beginning in this way that was sort of super like select your identity kind of thing. Like the linearness of the last few have not been like stifling, where I feel like if those first couple, instead of 12 choices, were, you know, like 3 or 4 choices, at this point I probably would kind of be itching on the agency front, but I'm not, and that's like in itself kind of an interesting. It's just off enough to grab attention and evoke a larger concept. Yeah, totally. Yeah, really, really great way to put it. Jackpack says, yeah, that's a good point. The words are never quite what I expect. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was actually just making an argument the other day that good writing is about sort of knowing what the audience is going to expect and then being slightly different from that. There's like a really strong element of surprise, but it can't be too surprising, because then people can't latch on to a structure and can't form their own theories about what's going to happen. But you sort of want that thing where people expect something and then you like subvert that, even if very slightly. Okay, back to our pretty stuff. Dead brown leaves cover inky black lake. The Empress rises from the water, dragging her train of leaves and ichor. Her larval skin floats across the lake like the carcass of a pale leviathan. Her aides pick wet plant matter from her skull. And our only option is to wait. She greets her new court by placing thoughts in their minds. Her aide says, "Go to your chambers, you will know when we have need of you." She returns to cleaning the skull of the Empress, running her tongue along effluvial curves. Wow, what language. That's amazing. Jackpack says, hedonistic curve, baby. Duende says, yep, it's a delicate balance. Too many unexpected words or concepts can drown a story in fantasy name syndrome. That is a really good point. Back to Blue. The palace courtyard. A balcony looks upon the outside world. The throne room is closed for the Empress's inaugural bloodbath. Ooh, love it. Your chambers are on the second floor. The garden sprawls over there. Your workshop is in a cabin down a shady path. The city is through a vast archway hanging with vines. So because I haven't been given a lot of direction as to why I might want to choose one thing over another, my sort of inclination is to explore. So I think your chambers sort of like visually on the screen jumps out to me as like, that's probably realistically where like I should go. And I'm a player who grew up on Zelda, and so I like to Zelda most spaces and exploration situations, which is to sort of go everywhere except where I'm like technically supposed to go, just to make sure I don't miss anything. I'm absolutely a completionist like that. So where do you think we should go, chat? I'm kind of down for anything except my own chambers. Do you think your chambers grabs attention because it's 2 rows bolded? Yes, I do. And it's it's a couple of things. It's that, and it's also just like its visual placement on the screen as well. Like if you sort of rule of thirds the screen, it's like right on that top eye line all the way over to the left. So it's sort of like very, yeah, balcony seems like a safe dead end. Yep, it's also the first one presented. So there's definitely part of me that's like, yep. Death jungle chokes the land to the north. To the south, ashen wasteland. You lean on the railing. Yep, very safe dead end. And just gives us a little bit of sense of where this is. With, yeah, really great sort of like evocative tonal words. Chokes, right? Okay. So that's also really nice because clicking on the first one on the screen is not like our intended one, and it returns us back here where it's still an option to go to. So already it's kind of set up a structure for us as a player where we sort of know like, okay, this is more of like a hub situation, and we're not going to like lose choices by clicking on them. Okay, the garden sprawls over there. Your workshop is in a cabin on a shady path. So I'm just gonna kind of start clicking on these, see what we got. Glass flowers on iron stalks. canopy of leaf-bone statues sunk into the earth. The lake is down that path, or back to the palace. All right, let's check them out. I only started reading IF with intention recently, but I've been very impressed with Porpentine's work and comfortable brevity. Yeah, absolutely. No giant blocks of text, exactly. No, so one thing that she's really good at, in addition to kind of this like interesting evocative writing, is she's very good at like structuring the length and just kind of as the stuff we were just pointing out, like the in addition to like the visual layout, like where her links fall in a sentence and things like that, like she's very good at directing a player not just with the language but with like the aesthetics of the links themselves and where they are in a passage, and then also sort of like that reassurance of returning to an area you've been to before. She likes to use hubs a lot in her work, and there is sort of this like familiarity every time you return to one of those. It takes away what like hypertext in the 90s did a lot of, this kind of like hanging on the anxiety of the choice not taken, and her work is kind of very careful to try to alleviate that to a bit. Okay. It is easier for gardeners to call the machines statues, but they were no aesthetic objects. Look away. It's so interesting too, because even something as simple as look away, which like is just also kind of like a functional text, but there's something sort of like poetic and dramatic about it too, like, oh, you know, the lake is down that path, or back to the palace. Let's check out the lake. Dead brown leaves cover inky black lake. Okay. So let's do our meditations. Take a deep breath. Okay. Okay. I need a shorter breath. Oh, that's really cool. This is actually just a like a functional sort of thing. No, that breath was fine. Medium breath is good. Okay. All right, let's do it again. These are our meditations. That's really nice. And so now, like, doing it a couple of times, there's a part of me as a player that's like, okay, that's probably all there is from a functional standpoint, but what if there's not? So I'm like torn now, or I'm like, oh, do I want to try it one more time? Or like, that's probably all there is, so I'm gonna stop. But like, yeah, it's kind of a nice moment. Picking apart your chamber more, it's not just that it's 2 words, but by making it 2 words, it follows a different pattern than all the others. There's a subtle expectation that just chambers be highlighted. It's really true. Yeah, it's really true. Okay, so we've done our meditations down at the lake. Okay, so yeah, let's head down to back to the palace. Was that the garden that we just went to? I think it was. So let's check out my workshop. Files of melter, magnifying lens, meltless gloves, scarred work table. All right, let's check them out. The power to sculpt metal and stone with your fingers. Stained schematics depict a metal tube with a glass lens. You tried to build one before, but didn't have the materials. The glass is fine and pure here. All right, let's work on our telescope. I like how the choices also are kind of in themselves, giving you a little bit of backstory. Stained schematics depict a metal tube with a glass lens. You tried to build one before, but didn't have the materials. Glass is fine and pure. Too tired to work. All right. Yeah, great points in chat. The city is through a vast archway hanging with vines, so let's check that out. The streets are narrow, winding, maze-like. Ropes span between buildings like enormous spider webs blanketing the city. The temple is this way, across the dry canal. The Dream Distillery is surrounded by scaffolding. The Dream Distillery. Oh, that's a really cool thing. Okay. Streets are narrow, winding, maze-like. So love the sort of like a reference here to the fact that mazes in all interactive fiction totally suck. So that's a personal opinion. I've mentioned it in streams before, but yeah, anytime there's a maze in interactive fiction, I'm always kind of like, heh, okay. The alley leads to a dead end. The stone is stained with smog and acid rain. A puddle of green slime is here. Okay. Rope span between buildings. Laundry, drying meat, lanterns, festival ribbons. Good. The temple. A censer burns, filling the temple with smoke. A row of jars sits behind curtains. The gods are silent. Oh man, I want to click on these things, but like gods is just screaming out to me like it's gods, right? Okay. Gods derive power from silence. I love the ... there. Great. All right. Childhood smell of spices, so mystical, now reminds you of any kitchen. There's a very effective media res kind of narration. Yeah, absolutely. Small thoughts, but suggesting backstory in a larger world. Yeah, it's a really good point. And it's kind of like the narrative version of the thing that we were sort of talking about just at like a sentence or a lexia level, right? It's like this tiny bit of like vignetted suggestion that your mind fills in with like this really sort of rich evocative detail. And that, I mean, that's just kind of true. Like your mind as a reader is always going to fill in more detail than whatever a writer could possibly provide. So I don't know, I think she just does a really great job of providing really good hooks for you to latch cool stuff onto. Ancient hands suspended in green fluid covered in sigils, vertical columns of ink. Some bizarre old practice. Okay, cool. So what's interesting there is even though like my mind like jumped to gods, I didn't actually expect it to like do anything or be different. And I think that also sort of lended itself to me jumping to it because I'm like, oh, this is a safe thing to jump to. I'm probably not going to miss anything in these earlier ones. They're probably, by virtue of being nouns that are objects, they're probably just going to be descriptive. So even if I do miss something there, it probably is not mission critical to like understanding the narrative. But that's, you know, kind of like what was going on in my brain there. Okay, temple is this way across the dry canal. So dry was an interesting word to have bolded there. Dead vines wave in the wind like sun-bleached hair. Yeah, let's watch. Spider cat mends its rat-heavy web. Urchins sleep in the shade of an upturned hill. Yeah, this is cool. This feels like a bit of generated text that I think is being used really effectively. Having not looked at the actual source, I'm like not positive on that. It just feels that way. And generative text, rats are digging up lungfish for their meal. Lithe little claws cracking mud cocoons to pull out the soft, fleshy coil inside. Yeah, and an interesting thing is that like anytime you have a bit of text like that that's kind of obviously generated, there is something, what makes generative text effect? That's something I haven't really thought about, how linking objects sort of implies more description, but verbs might move plot forward. Yeah, so actually I co-authored a paper with Mark Bernstein last year about the aesthetics of links. And one of the observations we made in that paper is that there is a subtle difference. So the thing that you click on in hypertext theory is called the link anchor. And so depending on what word you put the anchor on, you're creating kind of an expectation for your reader. And then that expectation, once they click on it, is either sort of confirmed or denied. And a lot of the early hypertext stuff was kind of really interested in using the connection between where you came from and where you went, specifically what the link anchor was to where you went as like a thing that conveys its own amount of meaning. And with sort of more modern interactive fiction style hypertext that's trying to be a bit less literary and a little bit more game-like. There's been kind of a shift, I think, especially as people have become very comfortable with the web and how we use links in articles and things like that, with sort of using links in ways that are a bit more explanatory. And I think like Porpentine certainly plays with that a bit. It's not like a across the board thing, but there really is a different expectation set depending on, different facets of anchors. And part of that is like part of speech, but also, as we pointed out earlier, where it appears in a sentence, where it appears in a line, how many of them there are in a single lexia. Like all of that is kind of setting an expectation for what's going to happen when I click on this. It looks like it's cycling through a few static nodes. Yeah. Love hearing sophisticated language to describe the mechanics of IF. It's something I've never been able to discuss with someone in real life. Yeah, there's like a lot of theory behind this stuff across different communities. So like games has its own sort of language and understanding of, what this stuff is supposed to be like. And then there's a whole body of work from literature and interactive fiction and, just different communities that I've spent actually a not insignificant part of my career just trying to get those communities to talk to each other. And like, truth be told, part of like starting Fortnightly Fiction was an attempt at that. Like, let's get some of the people who are making interactive fiction, some of the people that do Twine games and adventure games and things like that to make stuff together. Awesome. The Tosca paper is a really good one as well. Cool. Okay. I agree. I think it is just pulling in from different nodes. I didn't want to get into the weeds on like what counts as generative, but I do think it's like pulling in different stuff that is not state dependent necessarily. Okay. So I'm gonna look away. To define lexia. So it's just like the passage, like this bit of text on a screen right now is, hypertext theorists call it lexia, which is both the singular and the plural of that. Passage, writing space, like different communities all call this like thing a different thing, but it's just like this chunk of text right here. And yeah, my background started in hypertext fiction. I was originally an editor of stuff like this. It was like my first job out of college. So since I come from that tradition, I tend to use the language of like hypertext theory. I tend to refer to it as a node. So Twine people often refer to it as nodes. I avoid using the term node because Node.js is a thing, and I find that it sometimes confuses people who are more sort of like programmery. So yeah. Okay. I don't think we clicked on scaffolding, so I'm gonna do that. This is me, by the way. I will take like a very short game and turn it into like an hour-long ordeal. So I love how I'm like, yeah, and if it's pretty short, maybe we can play it more than once. And then I'm like, let me talk about every little tiny thing in here. So, sorry, not sorry. I don't know. Like, oily stains unreal the wood. Unreal as a verb there is really cool. Looks like nightmare damage. A sign says repairs done in a week or so. Come back later to try our free samples. This is what we came for. The people want this. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. All right. Let's just spend an hour unpacking a single link. NBA Dag! Oh, it's great to see you. My Friday is so much better now that I'm like hanging out with folks and having smart conversations with interesting people. So thank you for joining us. Okay, so let's leave and we'll return to the palace. And okay, we've clicked on all of the things. We'll go to our chambers now. And there is a chest under our bed. Astroglyphs, spiroglyphs, identical to the ones on your body. Precious. What even? Like, I don't know what any of that means. That's so cool. So as a writer, like this bit of writing is one of those things where I'm like, cool, no idea what any of those means. Precious as my only like action is awesome and gets me asking questions. And it's that like Dave Mamet writing advice of like, it is your job as a writer to get the reader to ask questions, and like, perfect. asking a lot of questions. The fact that generative text stories can actually work in and of itself is fascinating. Agree. Estrogen and, oh, awesome. Yeah. So estrogen did jump out to me with the estroglyphs thing, but yeah, that's a good call out. All right. So that was the chest under our bed, right? Yeah. Okay. And so let's sleep. Great use of background color. Okay. So now we're back to our hub, and this is kind of a cool thing where if we hadn't done the Stacey like weird Zelda path through this, we now have we would have a chance to explore those other places. Since we've already explored them, my first thing is, okay, but we've slept. There was like a thing that happened there. So I want to go back to things and see what's different. When we were in our workshop, we were previously too tired to do anything. And so my first instinct is to want to go back there, but I'm going to quickly click on these other things to see if anything has changed. Was there a dead person sitting on the balcony swinging their legs before? I do not remember that. It's that thing of like splitting your brain when you're streaming. Okay. That's it. Like, I'm truly asking chat because I'm not sure if that's a situation that was there and I just missed it, or if something has like changed. Nope, that's new. Okay, great. So awesome. There is a part of me that probably would have liked that to be on a new line, just so visually I would have known. I mean, like a paragraph being longer too. And yeah, that's true. We did not have access to the throne room earlier. The throne is vacant. The Empress's portrait covers the west wall. The Empress's hounds are gnawing on heretic bones. The hounds is a good thing there because it immediately makes me think of howling dogs. Okay, throne is vacant. Glossy white wood swarming with termites, stained with Empress effluvia. Deep gouges in the arms. Ugh. Okay. Her majestic atlas beetle horns, her mantle of moth fur, her eyes burning with cold fire. Okay, what can we change these to? Cool. I think the fact it doesn't stick out is a really interesting aesthetic choice. Like there's a dead body there now and we just didn't see it. Yeah, so that's a really good point there, Cecil, because it does also feel like it literally had the effect that it had on me, right? Where I'm like, wait, was that there before? I don't know. So it's a really good point. Hi, CDR Arcade, good to see you. We are over analyzing some Twine fiction, and it's a lot of fun. So this is kind of an interesting moment, though, because it feels like it made a lot of sense to me as a player to make choices with cycling links that customize myself. It's really interesting to be able to customize somebody else. And so I'm kind of like, oh, that's weird. Yeah, I mean, of these, I think I'm gonna go with the Staghorns. Her mantle of, oh man, some creepy choices. There's like a part of me that like is gonna probably stick with moth fur because it's like the least creepy of those to me. But I kind of love the ability to change the aesthetic on that. Her eyes burning with cold fire, drooling with soul sludge, crawling with snakes. Ooh. Okay. Oh, so creepy. Okay, let's go with burning with cold fire. I know, right? CD Arcade. So wild. The dead are just vibing. I'm catching up on chat a little bit. Yeah, okay. So much salt. I did not know that was a thing. I'm gonna be really honest. That's really interesting to learn. Huh. I am learning things in chat. Thank you so much, guys. That's awesome. Staghorns reminds me of the comic character Madame Xanadu, like from, oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, there've been a lot of these like really subtle things that for me like evoke other stuff as well. Okay, Staghorn's moth for burning with cold fire. Let's call it a day. All right. Her majestic staghorns, her mantle of moth fur, her eyes burning with cold fire. And so like, yeah, there is a part of me like that's torn on like as a player, I'm like, cool, what did that change systemically? But then as, you know, a person who enjoys literature and the value of language, I'm like, no, that's cool. Like I'm also sort of equally fine with let's just change what my mental image of this portrait is. So the Empress's hounds are restless, narrow black tails whipping back and forth. Moth fur might have been related to our month choice. That is a great point, Jackpag, and good catch because I honestly would have missed that. I feel obligated to point out the chill ambient tones immediately get my attention and make me think, oh shit, this is a real work. Oh, that's interesting. Can you say more about that? For me, I'm finding really interesting the ambient chill tones, like in contrast to the gruesome shit that is like being described. So I'm sort of like, oh yeah, nice and chill with like creepy shit. Okay, we have our chambers again. Garden spells over there. Your workshop is a cabin down the shady path. So we talked a lot about why your chambers kind of jumps out visually, but I would also like to point out like it would also have been easy to put your chambers as the last thing, like below the rest of the text, if this is like the one that moves things forward. So the fact that it's in the middle then creates this thing where it sort of like divides everything that's above and below it. So the things above it are sort of like back inside, and then the things below it are sort of like external. So that's kind of an interesting technique there. It takes the edge off of things like daily blood rituals, totally. This is just how things are, you know, because elevator music. Yep, that's a good point. All right, let's head down to the garden, check out our statues. Carve some from the century, others the husk of machines from beyond our reckoning. It's easier for the gardeners to call the machines statues, but they are no aesthetic object. Okay. Yeah, the gentle gradient. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's kind of the same with like logo design and stuff too, right? Like it's like a gradient on a background really does a lot, like visually. Okay. Yeah, let's do our meditations. Okay, let's do a deep breath. How many breaths do we want to do this time, chat? Okay, I'll start. Three breaths. Okay, I'm done. Yeah, that's so nice. I really like it. Okay, great. Yeah, let's head back to the palace. All right, let's do it. We'll head to our workshop. Vials of melter, magnifying glasses, meltless gloves. Melter is still the same. All right, so stain schematics depict a metal tube with glass lens. You tried to build one before but didn't have the materials. Glass is fine and pure here. Let's work on it. We're still too tired to work. Oh man, I wonder if we have to do this earlier in the day. All right, before we meditate. We're just not feeling like working after meditating maybe. But now we have something that feels like a puzzle. Like, why am I always too tired to work? Hello. I'm gonna really mispronounce this, Cantinenheld. I'm sorry. But it's great to have you here. I'm really excited. What time is it in Germany right now? I kind of like the black background, makes the text pop and draws your focus there. Blue is a good call. Yeah, yeah, it's a really good point. I'm actually kind of curious what the colorblind mode would have been like. I feel like the colors feel so important to the aesthetic of this that it would be really interesting. Have we been to our chambers yet? Maybe we need to go to bed. We did go to bed and we woke up and then we had like some slightly different text on a couple of the rooms after sleeping. Okay, and I'll just try the city again. Check out Mizleg. Yep. The temple. Okay. Great. Yeah, that's what made the text change. So that's why I'm like, okay, but we did kind of the same thing where we like clicked through all of the links in order. So it makes me wonder if maybe we need to go to sleep and then do this earlier in the day before we're wandering around a bunch. Okay, so let's do it. Still chest. Okay. 5 a.m. You're on the night shift. Wow. So what time do you normally sleep? Because that, I really like the terseness of this writing. Like, yeah, we've talked a lot about the writing and the language of it. And yeah, it does a really interesting, like there is sort of a terseness, but like the language itself is sort of so poetic and evocative that it doesn't feel sort of like brusque with it. All right, let's do it. We'll sleep, and then we're gonna go straight to the workshop. Okay. Still too tired to work. All right, now I'm a little confused. Oh. No. Did we get anything new here? We did not. But let's return to some of the creepy stuff inside. Yeah, dead person is swinging their legs. The throne is vacant. Okay. Yep. All of that is still the same. Yeah, so now it's interesting because we do have the meditations we can do. Okay, how many breaths, chat? I'll do 2. Okay, 4, 5, 10. Oh my gosh, 10? Okay, yeah, we'll win meditations. Okay, but I might need you to keep count for me. I think that was 3. Yeah, like way to make meditation like this aggressive competitive thing. All right, I think that was 4. I am gonna stop actually like meditating along with it though, and I'm just gonna drink my wine. So cheers. I am gonna once again shout out to Kineticorn who gave me this wine. He has an awesome stream where he makes fruit wine. And this is his sparkling strawberry, which is like very lightly sparkling. So if we could shout out Kineticorn in chat, please go follow him. He is awesome. and he occasionally has really rad guest streamers like yours truly, who come on and taste his wine for him. And he sends wine out to his supporters, so go follow him. The wine is fantastic. Okay. Was that 5? We'll say it's 5, unless it wasn't. That's how this works. I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm also really glad you could join us for a bit. I think we're on 7 now. Also that the music stops while you meditate. What's interesting is like the first couple of times we did it, it was like, oh, that's relaxing. And now that we're like power meditating or whatever, it actually just kind of feels creepy. And the longer the silence goes on, the creepier it feels. Okay, are we on 9? I'm not sure if this is 9 or 10. Oh, Canteen and Health, thank you so much for subscribing. That's really, really wonderful. Welcome to the family. Let me try one more. Okay. That's a lot of meditation. Alright, let's head back to Palace. Okay. Oh, we didn't head to the lake, did we? Did we? Yeah, we did. Sorry, that's where we meditate, right? We are so relaxed right now, like aggressively relaxed. Yeah, repairs done in a week or so. Come back later to try our free samples. So I wonder if we sleep 7 times, if repairs will be done. Okay. Yeah, it is interesting though. The repetition of all of these is now sort of has us on the like, okay, it's turned from like something that felt a bit more literary into something that feels a bit more game-like, because it does feel like kind of like a hard stop puzzle. I know, unreal as a verb. I called that out as well. I was like, oh, that's so good. So good. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, more of these, which we've seen. Okay. All right. We'll head back to our chambers. I'm gonna keep checking to make sure there's not new stuff. Okay. Great timing. Sort of right when I'm like, yeah, I'm out of things to do. I don't really know, but I guess I'll power sleep through these. If I have to, then they're like, oh, hey, let's change something now. Perfect. The Empress needs something nice for the ceremony. Something to adorn her. Okay. You have work to do. Good. What are we gonna get to adorn her? All right. Yeah. So she has her mantle of fur, eyes, etc. Big hat. I don't know. I think the stag horns might get in the way of the big hat. I was thinking. I mean, we'll check the lake. I'm gonna skip the meditations. Ooh. I like the like funk beat actually sounds a bit like we're hitting things with a hammer. That's like such a good touch. All right, never worked with anything like this. All right. A mask. And what do we have? for our materials. All right. I don't know. What are y'all thinking, chat? I'm leaning toward a mask, maybe. Lake crystal sounds nice for the queen. I mean, heretic bone also, if she seems a little bit like a aggressive ruler. Mask. Okay. Drone steel. I'm thinking the lake crystal. Mask is timely. Oh, I hadn't even thought of it that way. You're right. Oh, all right. Let's do a mask of lake crystal. Translucent crystals from the lake. They've absorbed 1,000 of the Empress's larval cycles, marinated in her sacred waters. And then you engraved 3 glyphs. All right. Indomitable. Angel breeder. Beloved tyranny. Whoa. Power over death. Bat mother. Life ruiner. All right. Rich with souls, burning waterfalls, loyal to eternity. Oof. Okay. So I don't actually know how stateful this is. Like, I don't actually know if this is gonna have an impact on the state or if it's just kind of like for us and our pleasure. But I am like a little apprehensive about the fact that it might be impactful on the state, and I worry about that. It's getting very metal, I know, right? It's sort of an evolving haiku, totally. Like the Empress didn't already sound metal. Yeah, it's true. She's stateful is another word to write down. Yeah, so by that I just mean like, you know, is this sort of surface level for us to like absorb and roleplay with, or is it going to, like, for example, give us a different ending, or, you know, is the queen going to react differently based on what it is? Basically, just like, is the system going to respond to this, or is this sort of just for us and our benefit? And I don't know, since I've never played this, so so I'm gonna play this as if it is. Angel breeder, beloved tyranny. All right. Chat, is anybody feeling like super drawn to one thing or another? Power over death is interesting. I'm really drawn to life ruiner. Bat mother, okay. Okay. Angel breather, bat mother, loyal to eternity, rich with souls, burning waterfalls. Burning waterfalls feels a little meh. You like life ruiner too. Okay. Yeah, man. Okay. All right. Rich with souls. I like rich with souls too. Okay. All right, Angel Breeder feels too soft if we're going with Life Ruiner, Rich with Souls. Beloved Tyranny, I'm like, I don't want to offend her, but I sort of feel like the rest of this, like, it's not going to. She's, like, the baddest ass queen larval thing ever, so let's go with that. All right, let's wrap it in white cloth, snake skin, human skin, leather. Funeral shroud, white I mean, human skin leather got like a visceral reaction there. It's a heck of a triad there. I know, right? Yeah, Jagpack, I am so interested in what your thoughts on crafting are about this game. Like, as somebody who, you know, wrote like a massive paper on crafting systems, like, I'm super interested in your thoughts. Unless it's like we haven't gotten to something interesting or whatever. Okay, the Empress's agent accepts the gifts, she strides away. And that's actually a really clever way to get around not having the Empress make an immediate reaction. Oh, Jackpack, you don't have to. I'm sorry. Okay, good. Good. All right. Yeah, I mean, I can understand why we were too tired to work before. Goodness. That took a lot out of me personally. I don't really understand what's going on, but it's fascinating. Yeah, that's kind of part of it, to be honest. Like it's sort of written in this way that things are very surreal. We know we are not human. We are among like a sort of insectian kind of race that is very kind of surreal. There's like a lot of imagery of like dead people and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of written that way intentionally. There's a bit of like not entirely sure what's going on, but it's very evocative and the language is very powerful. Okay. Ceremony is in the garden tonight. It's like if Narnia were set at the bottom of a bog. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really apt description. Okay, so let's head to the garden. Glass flowers on iron stalks, yep. Let's head to the ceremony, which is beginning. The garden is strung with lights and thronged with dancing. The Empress wears her mask. You can't tell where her hollow eyes are pointed. An agent approaches. The Empress has a gift for you. The agent holds something in her hand. 3 red berries on a waxy leaf. Yeah, no, of course we're not going to refuse. Goodness. Their juice stains your fingers. It lingers on your mouth, sweet turning to bitter like sun to evening. I think we just got poisoned, y'all. People are walking toward a clearing in the garden, a grass expanse covered in dark circles. Jellyfire is released from metal tubes in the earth, where it fermented for the last year. It ripples into the sky in gorgeous sheets of color. Yeah, let's lie on our back and stare for a minute. Sky is full of jellyfire, like disemboweled rainbows. Holy Lord. I know, NBA Dag, that's so apt. Draw a sigil of new beginnings on your skin. Okay, so this is where our marker comes in. All right, chat, what does a sigil of new beginnings look like? Okay, what general shape do we feel like this is? Some of it is too much, but it's so assured that it works. Yeah, that's a really good point. There is a lot of language in this that I think it would be really easy to come off as like florid or, you know, it's a bit purple, right? But I don't know. I think it works. Like I think, and you know, part of the like short terse sentences that that you guys pointed out earlier, I think actually helps with that, because it's like if you have this really flowery language in these long sentences of it, like I think it would be a bit much. And yeah, tree or sun. It's hyperviolet. Okay, tree or sun. So I'll put like a sun tree. All right. Okay, so here's a sun. All right, here's a sun next to my cool Zora sapphire thing there. And off topic, but can I say something in German? Oh gosh, no. So I'm learning German in Duolingo right now, and and yeah, I am not super far in and am like very embarrassed to try to pronounce any of it. So I feel like I'm definitely at a place where certainly reading German is a lot easier for me than actually like speaking it. So yeah, I'm gonna not do that. Sorry. Okay, recrafting. So I totally like the crafting here because it's more I'm an artisan choosing what to make for a client rather than most game crafting, which is exploring a long fixed tree for a particular setup. That is a super interesting point. And yeah, and a lot of crafting in games, I guess, is also like kind of, as you mentioned, very self-serving. Sorry. um, but okay, so that's my sun, and I'm gonna actually turn the sun into a tree. Here we go. Um, this is the worst, you guys. Okay. All right, and you'll have to tell me what it needs. So, I took my sun and I turned it into a tree. Okay. I don't know if you can see it. It looks like a goblet. It also gets distorted when my arm twists. It's such art. Such art. Okay. What does it need though? If you don't say anything. Okay, great. I'm just gonna leave it then. I'll post it on Instagram so y'all can see it later. Okay. And then done. Cool. Chest under my bed. Same stuff. Identical to the ones on your body. Ooh, so meta. I love it. Yeah, this is fascinating. Would the player commit to writing on themselves if the choice was presented earlier? Yeah, it's a good question. Probably not. I think at this point, like you've also at this point in the work made a lot of choices that are very sort of personal to you. And in a lot of ways, I think the fact that it doesn't seem particularly like systemically paid off adds to that. Like if in doing that the queen had come back to me and said, oh no, this gift doesn't please me, what I really wanted was, you know, a drone, I don't even remember the word, the drone metal something, like it would make it very gamey. And because it didn't do that, it now makes it so the choice really is just for my benefit. And so I, as a player, am a little bit more drawn into the role play of it and like feel more ownership, particularly in a role play way, than I would if I were like filling an objective that the game is giving to me. Just realized the gradient changed for the sigil drawing. Yeah. Okay. Let's sleep. Standing on the balcony holding a letter from the people who share your blood. Why don't you come home? All right. Paralyzing anger or unbearable longing. Oof. That's a heck of a choice. Also the music here, right? It's super creepy. I'm gonna go with paralyzing anger. For no particular reason. So if anybody like feels really strongly about the other choice, that's fine. And then what's interesting is that depending on which of these we choose, like one of these definitely feels like the correct choice to go with that, even though like it doesn't technically have to be. Anger and give it to the wind. All right, let's do it. What's interesting though about that is that if we do select unbearable longing and let the wind take it, the fact that the longing is unbearable makes that make sense. So yeah, that's also kind of interesting. Like it's kind of a choice along like two dimensions of what are we feeling and then how do we as a character react to that feeling. Yeah, super interesting. We wrote a ton about when a system can recognize a craft versus when it can't, and that entire spectrum of crafting, and how the less a system recognizes, the more space there is for us to make our own interpretations. Yeah, it's a really interesting point. So much of my PhD is about how systems respond to player choice, and this observation is probably like a little bit out of scope to dive into too much in the PhD other than just to kind of mention that it's a thing. But there is, I think, like kind of two directions that things can go when a system is sort of not responding to you as a player. There's either the impulse to sort of like discard that and work within the bounds of what you're given, or as this game is doing, sort of like internalize it a bit more as like a role play selection choice thing and like go with that. So it's a really kind of interesting point. Terraria, for example, recognizes a house, but not every feature of a house. To make a house, you need to hit certain points, but the rest's up to you. However, a cave is never a house. Oh, that's super interesting. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. You let it flutter away. Loving yourself means destroying the physical reminders of the past. But yeah, again, this is like one of those points that's really interesting for like being evocative and like gives us a little bit of backstory, but not like so. I don't know. It's like it gives us enough of a backstory to ask a bunch of questions, but it doesn't make me so invested in finding out the answer that I would be disappointed if I never really know why I'm here or whatever. Okay, sigil of severing. What does that look like, chat? I think the thing I might have enjoyed the most about the very flawed Fallout 4 was role-playing where I was going to make a home. Like, where was I going to sleep at night? Oh, that's really fun. Yeah, you should tell us more about that. Yeah, that's a good one. So I'm not sure from that if that's like a literal not equal sign or like the actual slash, but I think because it's a sigil, I'm gonna go a knife. Ooh. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do the two equal signs with a knife like in the middle, I say, as I'm some kind of artist. All right, let's do it. I picked a terrible spot on my arm to be able to show this to you guys. So thanks for bearing with me. Okay, this is my sigil of severing here. All right. Okay. Death jungle chokes the land to the north, to the south, ashen wasteland. You lean on the railing. Okay. What do we have in our workshop now? A dead person is under the table. Just there. So this one actually kind of combines the thing that I was saying I wanted the last dead person that showed up to do with the thing that it actually did, which sorry, that was a terrible sentence. So when the last dead person showed up, I was like, oh man, I really wish that visually it had sort of pointed that out. But then, as y'all observed in chat, the fact that it didn't, like, kind of made me question, oh, did that dead person show up or were they always there? This one, I think, combines those two things, where I noticed immediately that the text had changed position, but, like, didn't register, exactly, like, I didn't register very quickly what exactly had changed. So, I don't know what that means. You'll have to translate for us. I didn't like the sanctuaries will live the small after trying to figure out where I'd sleep at night. Oh, interesting. In Fallout, you mean? Yeah, okay. So, now there's a dead person under the table. Okay. We can work on our telescope. The telescope is complete. It will look great on the balcony. Good. My telescope is mounted nearby on the balcony. I can look at the jungle or the waste. Swarms of insects rise from the jungle like black clouds. A shard storm glitters across the waste. Unlook also is a great link there. All right, set aside. Wait, wasn't there the dead person was here before, kicking their legs. See, this is what I mean. Like, that's a really, really good sort of like, wait, what? Sort of moment. It's like a captain. Oh, okay. So yeah, I totally will be like a sailor with all my tattoos. uh, cool. All right. So yeah, and it does do this thing now where now I'm like, oh man, there's this dead body that's moving around apparently. Now I kind of feel the need to explore everything just to make sure nothing changed, which is kind of like an interesting moment, like for me as a character in this story as well. Um, yeah, exactly. Cecil, I think that's exactly what's happening. Okay. Yeah. Okay. The hounds are growling. They're not chewing on bones anymore. Right? Okay. Da-da-da-da. Like, I mean, we can do more meditations. I'll do like 2 breaths. The game mentioned Death Jungle earlier, and I kind of mentioned dead is a reference to something that's not quite mortality. Almost like a cast. Oh, interesting. I hadn't picked up on that, but that's a really interesting point. Um, hmm. Yeah, and it would also, I don't know. So I had been thinking almost of like, uh, like because I think of the insect imagery and stuff, I had sort of been thinking just like subconsciously maybe that like, oh, this dead body is like my past self or something, where I'd like shed like a skin, like an insect. That's not a thing I think I was consciously thinking. I think that was just sort of like because of all the insect imagery that had just kind of like popped up to me. So the idea of that is like casts, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, interesting. We don't really even have the option to work anymore. So cool. Yeah, the alley leads to a dead end. Stone is stained. Puddle of green slime. Cast versus cast off. Ooh, yeah, it's good. Okay. Still the same. Okay. Yeah, at this point I'm just kind of clicking through things to sort of see if anything changed. And it's sort of like an interesting thing because you do actually kind of have to at least skim the reread of it to see. Prayer's done in a week or so. Come back later, try free samples. All right. We should be hitting like a week or so pretty soon. Okay. Yeah, so what's interesting is like the fact that it gives us the option to just like sleep again means that if we wanted to, we could just keep sleeping. And the points that that I think have been sort of the most like forward movement in the game also were like interrupted us on that screen. So there is like the gamer part of me that's like, yeah, if we wanted to just kind of like keep like skip forward, we totally could. Okay, now the dead person is back on the balcony, swinging their legs. And what's interesting is that like that impulse for me kind of grows a little bit each time I read something that I've already read or been to before. So there's kind of this impulse in me to like, oh, okay, you're showing me the same content, therefore I know that I'm not missing anything, therefore I should just skip forward. Links leading to slightly different lexia help keep your attention. You can't just read the first 3 words and be like done. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's partly that, and also partly like now that the game has set up the expectation that the text might change. Um, yeah, like there is this thing of like, oh, but I don't want to miss something. Um, so yeah, we do have our telescope now though, which feels like someplace they may put progression. Warm wind carries ash and ember, and the spray of sulfur geysers. Do those change? Okay. Right. Throne room. Yep. Portrait. Yep. Good. The hounds are napping. Aww. Okay. Garden. Statues. Yeah. Like. Yeah, it's also kind of interesting that what this has set up for me also is sort of like a ritual almost of each day I wake up and I click through each thing to go about almost like a daily routine, um, which like is itself kind of an interesting thing. Okay. Oh, we just did the meditations, back to the palace. Yep, nothing to do in the workshop. The Dream Distillery has a gruesome pull for you. Okay. Pale, shriveled humans sleep forever on the floor. Pipes run from their heads into iron barrels. This batch has a pale chartreuse color. You take a sip. Oh, gross. Okay, let's look at their heads. Living, breathing terroir of flesh. Gross. This batch has vivid black color. Ugh, okay. Bouquet of storm clouds, intense flavor of compassion, and an aftertaste of betrayal. Debating if this ends in the player's coronation or destruction. I am 100% expecting to die at the end of this. Yeah, NBA dog. Seriously. All right. Okay. Yeah, let's just go back to sleep. That was... Sure is evocative, isn't it? All right. We need to reapply our hormones. Take an estroglyph and a spiroglyph from the chest and press them into your thigh. They sink through the skin and glow softly under the surface. Intelligent veins of blue and white. Cool. The Empress is hunting humans today. Yeah, and again, the changing music with the kind of drums there. Her flyer hums through the sky, moth wings slicing sunlight. The rear of the procession, you listen to the always weapons and the sometimes screams. Arcs of light shoot through the canopy, the smell of burnt leaves, a custom. Oof, okay. Yep, new gradient. And in fact, like it almost like it was a pretty stark contrast because the like I'm not sure if you mean just the angle of it, which I think it also is, but yeah, the pink there, which feels like it's being used as a stand-in for red, is cool. Wait, what's up? I'm waiting. What is the intent of this cycling link if not to surprise with flesh? So yeah, it's a good point because it does feel like it's leading to that, right? Like flesh is last and these things before it feel very sort of innocuous comparatively. But like the smell of burnt flesh is not a surprising thing to me after like the imagery that we've seen so far. So yeah, I'm not sure if it's kind of the same thing as like, you know, like Midsommar. I don't know if y'all have seen that, but the like the violence in that movie, it sort of does a thing where it is very jarring at first and becomes less jarring as it goes on, and that kind of mirrors the protagonist's like acclimation to it. And like I sort of feel that as a player. I'm like, yeah, okay, the smell of burnt flesh, like, sure. Yeah. Okay, well, we'll do that. A custom that persists because people are scared that if they question the custom, they will fall victim to the intense cruelty of the custom, which persists because they fail to question it. ID8, letting go. Falling into the sky, into the jungle, into the sea, riding into the storm, shredded by gravel, crashing, breaking apart, screaming, letting go. Okay. How long do you stream? I have to drive home and don't want to miss this. So I probably need to wrap up soon, but it also feels like the game is maybe coming to a close. For folks that have played this, like, do we have a lot further to go? I kind of suspect we don't. Draw a thought loop. Okay. I have no idea what a thought loop looks like, so if you could also tell me that, that would be great. So yeah, I probably won't be streaming too much longer either way, I guess is kind of what I'm getting at there. Usually I stream for like about 2 hours, and we're like at about an hour 40 or so. Circle brain. Okay. Oh, are you gonna make me draw a brain? You're so cruel. All right. Oh, this is the absolute worst. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Y'all, I am good at things in my life, and drawing is just completely not one of them. Infinity symbol art. All right, I will, yeah, I'm just gonna like toss an infinity symbol under this, and we're gonna call that a day. Oh, that made it so much worse. So there's that. Those are totally lines on a brain, like wrinkles. I honestly don't remember the game ends. It's been a few years since I played. You lean back against the engine and close your eyes and let it drown out the screams. The noise. Okay. I like that, yeah. Again, like that does feel like a moment that's just sort of like, yeah, you're acclimated to this, it's fine. All right. So our dead person is gone. Skulljeers are patrolling, spears and armor glinting when the sun pierces the ashen veil of the sky. Okay. Garden. Statues are the same. Lake is the same. Palace. Okay. It's art for sure. I do like, though, that as we're going through, it is kind of taking choices away in certain parts to sort of de-emphasize them. Because otherwise, yeah, I do think this would, like, be a lot more tedious. Like, it is kind of going from, like, a ritual to, like, tedium a little bit. But that also just might be how I'm playing. Like, I'm like a person who really doesn't want to miss something. Like, the FOMO is real. So it also could just be a situation where, like, a lot of people would just kind of click through on sleep. Scavenger is poking the dust with a stick, scraping for drowned trinkets. Cool. These are our pipes still. Okay. Yeah, all right. I'd love to get to under a star called Sun, but maybe another day. Yeah, if I can stream over the weekend, I probably will. But yeah, unfortunately, I just can't go super late tonight. Okay. Yeah, I think I am gonna just kind of start like, so as you can see, I'm already just kind of like, let me randomly click things to see if something's different. It doesn't seem like a lot is at this point, so I'm just gonna sleep some more. Enforced tedium is tough to do well. Yeah, it's true. And yes, and I also think the tedium is on purpose. And yeah, based on the vibes from Howling Dogs, I get the sense that's a theme. Yeah, and I mean, Howling Dogs also, right? Like it had this same sort of structure of like this spoke thing where you would sort of go through a routine and then you would get additional content sort of like at intermittent intervals. And so, yeah, second person forced tedium can be a powerful combination, but tough. Yeah. So, and that's why I'm sort of like, it's interesting because I'm like, would I be playing this the same way if I hadn't already played other stuff from the same author? And yeah, I think probably, I think it probably is affecting like how I'm playing, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, I think a big part of this game is about a gig going sour as exciting new options become daily ritual, which becomes the grind. Yeah, that is a really, really good encapsulation, Jagpag. Message is pinned to the door. The Empress has need of a weapon, something to hang in the throne room. Great. We have work to do, which is interesting because we've seen that exact text before, but the first time we saw we have work to do, it felt like an imperative. And this time it feels like, yay, we have work to do. Like we have something to like advance things forward, which, yeah, is like a really interesting transition. Okay, let's head straight to the workshop and get to work. Gather materials and think of weapons. Oh man, okay, chat. What are we doing? A dagger, a whip, a bow. I mean, we've got to go with a whip, right? Like, okay. The bones of a rival tyrant, dream dipped steel, Barrow Queen chitin. Nymph gut, angel leather, hate wood. Yeah, I mean, I guess nymph gut is kind of the most interesting there. Whip for the metal Dami Mommy. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's go with a whip made of the bones of a rival tyrant and nymph gut. Yeah, let's do it. You hear the Empress removed the bones without breaking the skin. One of her better party tricks. Okay, with an invocation. May everyone who touches me perish, sharing blood with moonlight, everything that power permits. Yeah, I mean, it feels like the first one here. I don't know, sharing blood with moonlight, that's pretty good too. Okay, let's do it. The agent comes by and takes it away. Great. All right, let's head back to bed. Okay. Doing our thing. Yep. The whip of the Skull Empress hangs above the vacant throne. We feel a little pride. I like it. Okay. The hounds are restless, narrow black tails whipping back and forth. I think, as a matter of fact, I don't know if y'all can hear it, but I think a hound is about to be unleashed in my house as well, so we'll see. Okay. Garden. Same. Skipping the meditations. Yeah, our friend the dead body hasn't like resurfaced again lately. Gonna start using Unlook in your daily life. Great, I'm gonna use Unreal, which will cause zero confusion as a game developer. Yeah, here they are. The hounds are unleashed. Hello, hound. I don't know if you can see her. Okay, I'll show a little puppy for chat. We actually just got a German Shepherd puppy, like, oh no, just kidding. Food was more exciting. But if she comes back, I'll show you. But yeah, she's 3 months old. She's very cute. Okay, so temple, I think, is where we're at. Yeah, it's puppy. Her name is Farah. Oh wait, there was a dead person. Dead person is riding on the neck of a statue. Okay, cool. So we do have our dead person moving around, which is interesting because now that went from like a creepy, whoa, was that real, to like, oh, this dead person's moving around, to now I'm like looking for the dead person as a indicator of progress. So yeah, that's super interesting. Okay, head back to our chambers and sleep. Okay, is the dead person still there? Is that where they were? I thought they were here. Or were they on a statue? Okay, now I'm just chasing dead people. Picture them waving a cowboy hat on a temple statue. Yeah. The dire maidens are walking the prayer labyrinth like a mechanical bull. A maze without walls. This is the meaning of faith. Okay. Great. All right, sleep. The Empress and her agents pass by your window. Her abdomen is swollen, trailing on the ground. You can smell her from here. She smells like dead candy. She passes from sight. You descend the stairs and enter the courtyard. Her cloven hooves left smears of ichor, like the stain of rotten throat. Arachnid claws, writhing coils. Yeah, it's a really good one in Be a Dag, isn't it? All right, let's do her arachnid claws. Oh, we could get on our knees and lick her stain? Gross. I don't want to do that. Do you want to do that, chat? Yeah, I mean, maybe that's like expected, but I think I will not. Gross, let's do it. Not crazy about the idea, no. Okay, we need a tie-breaking vote. I don't want to do it. Lick the stain. Okay. All right. Get on your knees, palms flat to the cool stone, and close your eyes. Your tongue flicks out to taste a drop of her putrid nectar. Yeah, deep sigh. This sigh cannot possibly be deep enough. Okay. You look from the ground until the ground is clean. Your lips and teeth are purple with empress juice. Your breath smells like you've been eating the refuse of an orchard or a toilet. Thanks, chat. Appreciate that. All right, gross. Okay. Yeah, so super like evocative and how like gross and visceral and sexual and just all of that was like, yeah, really, really unpleasant. Okay. Dire maidens are kissing the feet of the statues that traveled here from Damaset and bathing their wounds. Penance through erosion. Yeah. Okay. All right, black petals cover the temple steps. Offerings for the dire maidens. Depending on how much memory one has watered the flower with, an offering may be a sacrifice, and in the manner of sacrifices, each petal looks the same, whether it contains a moment or a lifetime. Okay. Yeah, it's a really good point, NBA Dog. Okay. Yeah, I'm like a little bewildered, I think, like after that last thing, I'm kind of like, okay, like, yeah, going about the routine of like clicking on all of these feels so like I don't even have words for it. Like it feels so small comparatively, like compared to what we just did, that I'm like, I don't know. You could always pause the game and leave it up to resume later if you're running a long time. Just kind of leave the tattoo on. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody has played this game and knows how much longer there is left. Like when I asked a couple of folks and they said it was super short, so I'm actually a little surprised at how long it's been already. But almost like you're going through routine after trauma happens or something. It's a really good point, Cecil, where I'm like, yeah, all of this just feels so trivial. Yeah. Like, where you're like, yeah, I'm just kind of clicking on stuff, I guess, and it's fine. Yeah, let's holy hell, let's do a meditation for sure. Yeah, let's do a shorter breath. Okay. Curious about the title now in the context of the game as far. Yeah, that's a really good point. Hmm. Yeah. Extremely necessary meditation. Yeah. Are we resurrecting the dead body? Oh, that's a really interesting point. Yeah. Loving it back to life. Yeah. All right. Uh-oh, I hadn't even considered any form of metaphor allegory here. I'm not sure I want to in light of previous events. Yeah, I mean, definitely though, I agree that like the routine here does feel really key, like particularly the routine that's happening at multiple stages, like this sort of daily thing, but also like the taking of hormones every few days. Yeah. So our dead person is on the balcony now. And it is also sort of like playing a bit, I think, with my expectations, where like as a player, you're used to having agency, and a lot of what has actually advanced the story forward so far from a player perspective, now not arguing whether it's like under the hood gated at different things or whatever, but like from a player perspective, just my actions, like it's all been very reactive. Like somebody has just come to me and been like, okay, now this, okay, now this. So yeah, like that's also kind of interesting because like the player in me is sort of like, okay, I want to advance things now, but like that's not really how the game is sort of like presenting my options to me. Timid wave, hi dead person. Yeah, exactly. Uh, Dead person just like kind of keeps waving from us. Okay. 6 symbols on most arms. All right. Yeah, I don't know if I will have time to do all 6 then. Unless we start just kind of powering forward on the sleeps, which we could. I don't actually know if that like gates things. Apparently does. The sky is full of pink, like a volcanic burst of petals. Princess spores have burst from the Empress. Everyone is running around laughing and crushing the spores as they drift to the ground. Ah. Yes, this is very vaporwave. Drunken hands of the mob pull you along. You reach the garden and the hands become feet, fanning out, kicking at bushes, stomping out soft pink spore flesh. Everything that happens today is this question. Are you part of the world, one with others, a person, or are you alone and apart? Ooh. What a question. All right, Cecil. So actually, I think let's make this choice and then I probably need to call it for tonight. I think what I may do is jump on tomorrow at this same time and finish the rest of the game. So I'll just kind of like pause it after this like little cutscene. So, but Cecil, thank you so much for joining. It was wonderful to have you. And I'm gonna say alone and apart. Hear a mewling sound. Princess spore is crawling through leaves. It stares in your direction, lips trembling, struggling to open its kitten-blind eyes. The spore crawls into a strangler fig hollow, climbing weakly up the choked spiral. The mob rushes to the courtyard. Okay. You spot something pink crawling up the balcony stairs. The princess spore is wriggling painfully up the steps, shuddering after each movement. Let it go. The spore reaches the top of the balcony. It starts crying. The mob is going inside the palace. You hear movement in an alcove. 3 spores are huddling together for warmth. They shrink in terror, trying to press themselves through stones. You back away until you can no longer see them in shadows. Dehydrated femme carcasses are being thrown in the fire pits, and everyone is drinking and having a good time. And you. Draw the sigil of what you feel. Alright, let's draw it. What do we feel? I feel like, I don't know. Yeah, icky. Icky is right. Vaporwave. Here, I'm gonna draw two eyes closed. That's gonna be my like combo of icky and tired. There they are. 2 eyes closed. And then yeah, and then we'll call the stream there, and we'll finish this tomorrow at 7 Pacific. So thank y'all so much for joining. It's been really, really wonderful, and I'm really glad to be back and be back to streaming. And yeah, final thought, Jagpack says, there are 2 bits of crafting happening here. The stuff you make in the game and the stuff you draw on your arm. Yeah, it's a really good point. And the arm stuff is actually, in addition to like kind of adding to your sort of role play and embeddedness in the world, it's also like a really kind of brilliant bit of marketing, which IF games are like notoriously bad at doing, because it's like you've drawn all of this stuff on your body which one makes the game very streamable in a way that IF is often not, and two, like you want to like post it, right? Like you want to post it on social media or wherever, which also itself is like an interesting bit of marketing. Anyway, thank you so much. It was also really wonderful to have you, and yeah, it's been so long since I've like streamed and stuff. Let's maybe raid someone. Let me look and see who's online right now. But I'm not even sure I remember how to raid, but we're gonna try. Yeah, it's a good point, Temple. I know the game from the ARM tweets. Let me look around. And okay, so my good friend Bogus Meat Factory is streaming. Let's go ahead and raid Bogus. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Please stick around and hang out while we raid. So Bogus is great, folks. He is streaming EverQuest, which like he's just a great person for just getting really, really excited about the things people don't normally get excited about in games, and it's just wonderful to watch somebody's joy like that. So let's go ahead and raid him, if I can actually type. And thanks everybody for hanging out. It's been wonderful to have you, and I'll see everybody tomorrow night, hopefully. So thanks so much, take care, and I will see y'all later.